In the world of horror, people look for different things. I, for one, really enjoy great atmosphere and horror movies with fun elements, while others lean more into the psychological side or great storytelling. I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I do think the majority of people are looking for one thing: to be scared. I'm sure if you're friends with other horror enjoyers, you've been posed with the question, what is the scariest horror movie? And instead of giving you my objectively correct opinion, I will tell you what the science says. Now, the data they use makes sense, but I feel like these results are really easy to skew. We have some bangers in this top 20 list, but also some just not good movies. I enjoy both the first Insidious and Conjuring, but the sequels are on this list, and not only are they worse movies, but I don't even think these movies are scary. Also, Paranormal Activity, which by 2009 standards was scary enough, but top 20 is crazy. The Babadook made the list as well, and I swear this is where the science gets skewed. Don't get me wrong, I genuinely love The Babadook, but to call this movie scary is insane. The audience must have been on their G Fuel and Zins during their viewing. However, as we ascend the list, we get to the 2012 classic, Sinister. I really enjoyed this movie the first 2 times I watched it, but when I recently revisited it, I honestly went in expecting it to have not aged well. So imagine my surprise when I found out this movie is still fantastic. I'm going to start spoiling the movie now, so if you plan on watching it, and you should leave. Now. The pacing in it is near perfect, the acting is great, and the character interactions are engaging. Most importantly though, this movie is genuinely scary. I know a lot of people complain about jump scares, but they're really hard to complain about here, as they're, I guess, tasteful jump scares. None of them really feel cheap, except for, well... There is one other example of a bad scare, but this is literally as it's ending, so it doesn't even have the opportunity to take you out of the movie. But what exactly makes the horror so effective? If I had to guess, the thing this movie is most known for is the striking imagery throughout it. From the opening scene and throughout the first half of the movie, we are shown some extremely cruel acts taking place. Even some of the more tame, if you can call family murders tame, are accompanied by haunting visuals. The lighting and way that these scenes are filmed force you to feel uneasy, and the fantastic sound design really sells every scene. It would be impossible to talk about these sections without showing you the most iconic scene in the movie that demonstrates all of these perfectly. These are drip fed to us at a really good pace, and the fact that these are on film reels that the protagonist found, the interruption in horror always feels natural. This circumvents one of the really annoying tropes in movies where the horror just randomly stops, as it offers a natural break to return to storytelling. However, there's only 5 of these clips throughout the movie, and the movie is almost 2 hours long. Despite this, they add enough horror elements that you rarely ever feel relief. The movie isn't really afraid to show you the hauntings that are going on. There are multiple times throughout where it has you linger on the entities in long shots. We still have the scenes in every horror movie where the character walks around investigating a noise, but the movie doesn't leave things up to interpretation. Even when Ethan Hawke's character, Ellison, can't see what's going on, the movie will show us clearly in the background. The creepy ghost child thing has never really done it for me, and I'll tell you up front that it doesn't do it for me in this movie either. Despite this, there's still a good couple lingering scenes that give me chills. On top of this, the overarching entity responsible for the events of the movie, Bagul, is an extremely memorable character. This is likely because his appearances are all done extremely well as his simplistic design, which, this is just Slender Man with hair and some makeup. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with this. Obviously, they transformed the character into something great, but 3 years after Slender Man became popular, has no face and dressed in a suit, his whole thing is taking kids through pictures, dude. You literally can't convince me this is a coincidence. When we are not indulging in the horror, there is still a constant tension among all of the characters. The whole reason they moved into this house with the film in the attic is because Ellison is an author and his past couple of books have failed. Because of this, they had to move out of their luxurious home and nobody really wanted to move. While his wife Tracy is trying to be supportive of Ellison, they have a family to feed. He also withholds a crucial detail from her about the house they're moving into.
Ellison, we didn't move in a few houses down from a crime scene again, did we?
We didn't.
You promise?
I promise.
This is lying by omission, as while he is technically correct, he is not telling her they moved into the home of the most recent murder.
Oh, man. Oh, that is a conversation that I would not want to be around for.
We watch Ellison try to hide this from his wife until it is finally outed by their daughter, Ashley. After her encounter with the spirit the night before, Tracy is scolding her for painting on a wall in the hallway. She defends herself by saying that it wasn't her that did it, but the spirit of the little girl who died in their backyard. This leads to the huge argument between the parents that had been looming over the movie the entire time. Despite all of this, it doesn't tear the family apart, as we see Tracy taking care of Ellison in the following scene in his drunken state. Ellison having a drinking problem is brought up by multiple characters throughout the movie, but this isn't a situation where he's an abusive, angry drunk. The characters bring up the drinking out of concern with Ellison's mental health. Ellison is seen throughout the movie watching his older interviews discussing his success with his novel with the hosts. In these interviews, we can see how much his values have changed. He was once a fictional writer, but saw little success with that avenue. So he shifted towards investigative nonfiction and ended up writing a #1 bestseller. When he saw success through his work and was asked if justice or success was more important, a younger Ellison firmly stood by the fact that justice meant more to him. However, his next 2 books being failures has brought hardships upon the family. This shifted his values directly to money, causing him to get some details wrong in his investigation in the pursuit of another successful novel. This resulted in a murderer getting away with a crime and putting him in a poor standing with law enforcement. Eventually, the hauntings in the home make Ellison realize that the safety of his family is more important than the success of his new book. And after a particularly bad event within the home, he gathers Stacy and the children in the middle of the night to return to their old home, as it hasn't yet sold. Unfortunately for Ellison and his family, this is not where the horror ends, as when he's putting things back into storage, he finds that the box of film from the previous home, which he burned, are in the attic of his home now. We've gotten some exposition throughout the movie about how Bagul is a pagan deity and how much about him is not known. This is because people believed his spirit lived on through pictures, so those who knew of the entity would remove any information about him in fear that he could survive through it. And after Ellison discovers the box of film, he finds these have extended cuts where we see what Bagul has been doing to these families for years. It's revealed that Bagul has influenced a child from each of the families to enact these cruel crimes, before being taken with him into his realm, which is within the films. During this revelation, Ellison receives a call from an officer that had been helping him investigate throughout the film, only known as Deputy So-and-so. The deputy had been helping him piece together that this is some sort of ritual killing, but the final step of the ritual begins when the family leaves their home and Ellison realizes he just did exactly that. Unfortunately for him, this realization came too late, as we see him losing consciousness and we are reminded of his daughter Ashley bringing him a drink a short time ago. When he wakes up, he finds himself, Stacy, and their son Trevor all bound, before Ashley walks into the frame with a camera and an axe. The movie shies away from showing gore throughout in a really artistic way, typically only seeing the aftermath or watching it through a reflection, as even Ellison cannot bring himself to watch the depravity. This event is no different, as we only see Ashley afterwards in a blood-soaked hallway, as this movie ends with her being absorbed into the film with Bagul and the other children. This movie really is awesome, and I could nitpick some things, especially the idea that someone has to move into the home and then move out to proceed with the ritual, because I do think that is convoluted at best. But I really enjoy that the movie never boils down to, how do we stop Bagul? As while I can recognize that may be important in a lot of these stories, it can really bog down the film as well, or create plot holes that take you out completely. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to ask, is this movie the scariest of all time? This is something that will never be true for everyone, and I really went into this expecting to be numb of a lot of the elements throughout, and while I think there are only a couple movies that are even in contention with Sinister, I would have an extremely hard time saying with a straight face that it isn't bare minimum top 3. But what do you think? Is Sinister as good and scary as everyone has been saying for the last 14 years, or do you think it's overhyped? If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe for more videos like this. I've been Kali, and I'll see you in the next one.